Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, thank God it's a Friday, and our guest today is Dr. Tunji Abayomi. He's a constitutional lawyer and a professional in politics. Thanks for coming on, Dr. Abayomi.
Thank you.
Good morning. I don't know, well, two subjects are really, playing around in our mind this morning, but let's take the first of them, which is the whole question about the president, President Muhammadu. Well, that is what it means, but the statement, nobody is going to get an automatic ticket in 2019, according to the APC. Of course, nobody, but the president, is whoever who immediately comes to mind. Why do you think there's this amount of talk about that whole matter? Because as is well known and as has been stated, the APC constitution doesn't allow an automatic ticket. There are processes that must be followed. So what do you think is going on here?
Well, there's what we call practical politics. There's also what we call theoretical politics.
Okay.
Now, practical politics, usually political offices are arranged. Arrangement depending on interests. For example, if a senator wants to run, there's also an understanding that, okay, the Senate is coming from a particular area. Mm-hmm. And interest will be gathering, coalescing, in order to look for the best candidate, partly because winnability for the party and personal interest of politicians.
Okay.
Practical politics requires some level of arrangement and interest. For example, in 2015, I was one of the 8 people put together by APC to screen presidential aspirants. I screened President Buhari as an aspirant.
Mm-hmm. Along with your committee members?
Along with other committee members. The Senate president was also in that committee. And the chairman is the present Minister of Science, Onaya Onu. Obunaya Onu was the chairman. But at that time, we all knew that the president is coming from the northern part of the country. That's practical politics. Nonetheless, he had to go through screening because there were other people, including Okorocha, who is now the chairman of APC Governors Forum. He was an aspirant. He went through the process. All of them, including Atiku, they went through that process. Okay? In other words, those from the south, we all knew in the party that the president is coming from the north. But notwithstanding, constitutionally, again, we are talking of theoretical politics now.
Yes.
Anybody of age, of constitutional age, was entitled to run for president. And some did run for it. So the discussion now could be an assertion of interest in terms of theoretical politics. We want to run, because some people run, not necessarily they run to lose, and some run to win. Some people run to lose purely to establish their name, although they know they are going to lose. They may be looking at a future time. So if we now say
when
that
they will be referred to as a former presidential aspirant.
Exactly.
Or indeed candidate.
Or even they may be, well, there will only be one candidate. They can only be referred to as an aspirant.
Yes.
But they could emerge as a candidate, possibly. In the 1%, 1% out of, as against 99%, is still part of the percentage anyway. So the point I'm making, therefore, is that in APC constitution, you have to go through what I would call theoretical politics as well as practical politics. But it is when the possibility of practical politics exceeds theoretical politics that you are likely to win. What I'm in essence saying is that when you have the interest and they gather together in your favor, notwithstanding that everybody goes through theoretical politics, you have a greater chance to win than, for example, if you have theoretical politics. You have all the requirements. You are of age, you are this, you are that, and so on and so forth. But you don't have the interest on your side. So
that is party interest.
that is party interest, the interest of the party.
The power brokers within the
yeah,
party.
Exactly.
And the decision they have come to.
Precisely.
After which, we then go through the whole rigmarole
Yes.
of due process.
Yes, because you
And
must
make this due process work
yes.
as has been previously determined.
Exactly. Let's keep something in mind. A political party's organic interest is to win. That's the interest of the political party. So a political party, everything is doing is looking at its capacity to win, what I call winnability, you know. Therefore, the party interest will look into all the criteria and indices for winnability, including the people. Because even if you go through the primary, if, for example, your possibility of winning, your possibility to win is limited, you know, the interest will now find a way to ensure that you do not emerge. You understand what I mean?
No matter how popular you are, within the voting, party voting...
yes, procedure, apparatus, party voting process.
Yes.
You know, so because the interest, basically, I think Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, he was the first person who told me that you go into politics to win. You know, that's really your interest, you know, because at the end of it all, when you lose, you really gain virtually nothing, you know. When you are in power, you are in power. When you are out of power, you are out of power.
You know, I like the way you sort of explained it, that there's practical politics and then there's the theory of it.
Yes.
And so you must be conforming with the theory of it,
yes.
Whereas while you are getting the practical result,
yes.
that no doubt has been predetermined. After
yes.
that's what plans are all
usually predetermined by the political party and the political people. You know, because political interest within the political party.
So in a sense then, maybe we can say of the APC, perhaps of all parties, that these things are usually very well known. For instance, who the candidate is going to be in 2019, a lot of people probably have a very, very good idea, even though they're not allowed to publicly voice it as of yet. Attempts at that were made. You remember at the last meeting, I think that was early the week, somebody had shouted out, let's look at this whole matter of automatic ticket, and they had been promptly shut down, saying, we're not here for that. There's a clear agenda. What we are here for is to just take a vote of confidence in the president, and this was resoundingly passed. Now, how important is the vote of confidence in lieu of...
there's no vote of confidence in the issue of candidature. There's nothing like that. However, you can talk of vote of confidence in terms of the performance of government. I think the vote of confidence, which is actually not necessary, is just superfluity, really, superfluous, really. I mean, whether there's a vote of confidence or no vote of confidence, what's the value of it? You know? I
was thinking that a vote of confidence could be a sort of a roundabout way of indicating with no more than a head nudge.
Well, but I mean, the political party will not obviously go against
its own,
a political party that produces a president. Well, ordinarily, that's the highest. I remember when I was fighting for freedom for President Obasanjo in those days, and I went to Abuja and I was speaking to General Bajowa, who was then in the, I think he was permanent secretary at that time of Ministry of Industry or something, and they were rather close to Abacha at that time, I think, for something. And then he said, but you are from Ondo State? And I said, yes. He said, look, let me ask you. People keep saying that Abacha should leave office and hand it to somebody. He said, Omo Iya, if you hand it to something, what else does he want to be in Nigeria? You understand what I mean? So a political party that produces the president, that is the highest prize in a nation. So to say you have a vote of confidence, what really does it mean?
Okay. Well, again,
it's already in office. You are in power as a political party, and the president is first among
equals. Panos inter pares.
First among equals and first among unequals.
Even unequals.
Yes.
Even unequals.
Yes.
But when it is, look, I don't imagine that there's any conceivable candidate within the APC, the way it sits now, who probably is going to come forward with any amount of seriousness and say, I'm challenging for the position.
Yes, there will be. It happened during the last 2015. We were all there. You know, there was a lot of issues about who would be the candidate. Let's understand that issue of candidature largely is settled before the convention. You know, because at that time we knew that it was coming from the north, but there were at least 3 serious potentials. There was Tambuwa, there was Atiku, there was also Buhari. They were all serious. We were discussing, for example, who really should we support?
Yeah.
Because again, that's why I'm talking of interest now.
Exactly. But that was then at the beginning of this particular operation. But now that we've started it and it's a matter of continuation,
yes.
It was in that context that I imagined that could anybody come forward with any amount of seriousness still?
Yes, under our constitution.
Okay.
Under the constitution of APC, anybody can come forward and challenge the president. And it must be understood.
And then the machinery would have to handle and process
it must process it, yes, because again, it's a question of credibility. It is not just, it's a question of 2 things. It is a question of credibility and a question of constitutionality. It's on that. And when I'm talking of constitutionality now, I'm talking of in 2 aspects. There is a question of credibility in terms of responsibility to due process and to protecting the rights of citizens. I'm talking of individual citizens now. There's also the question of constitutionality. And when I'm talking of constitution, I'm talking of a form of duality. You are talking of constitutionality in terms of the constitution of APC itself. What does the law guiding the processes and the procedure of emergence of a candidate, what does it say? It doesn't give anybody any advantage, nor does it disadvantage any citizen. Okay? There is also the question of constitutionality, which is Nigerian constitution. It says that every Nigerian citizen that meets constitutional criteria can run for president. But in the midst of all these laws, order, there is what you might call the dust of politics. You understand what I mean? The dust. This, and some people blow.
And what you're calling the dust of politics, all that you've stated is well known.
Yes.
Now all that is left is to maneuver the whole contraption,
yes.
Maneuver it in such a way with dexterity, skill, political savvy, whatever,
yes.
to end up in the
that is it.
Determined,
yes.
Shall we say, preference.
Yes, and to place yourself within that expectation, you know, to place yourself within, to ensure that that president gather
yes.
in your favor. Let us understand that this dust of politics are blown by some people, some interests.
One moment, yes. Dr. Bayomi. Let's take Mr. Abiola, Mr. Abioye in Jos. Good morning.
Morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, and my regards to the doctor there.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, listening to the analysis, I would strongly suggest that the APC should please let us carry go with the present president so that the presidency can swing back to the South in 2023. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, there's someone who is looking at the lines very, very carefully.
Yes, yes.
And as you said, you said in 2015, it was already known where the presidency was coming from. And so all your sums had to end up in that answer.
Yes.
And although the teacher, whoever that is, the constitution, the law, the teacher must see you're working.
Yes.
And know that there is no wuru-wuru there.
Yes.
But the answer must indeed be as of 2015 from the north.
Yes.
Now, look at what that gentleman has just said.
That's exactly the point I'm making about interest. Now, those who are now talking about the next president, 2019, they're going to look at a number of interests, including what he just mentioned. So the Southerners may be looking at it, if we replace Buhari now, it may create a constitution to the expectation. That's one. The other issue is that if we now replace him, it may also be that the next president, even if it comes from the South, we only have to stay there for 4 years, when in fact it will be in our interest to have him, Buhari, spend 8 years so that our own candidate will spend 8 years. That's the other thing. So there are lots of interests. This is what I call the dust of politics.
Although even the 8 years thing, it's not guaranteed. I mean, after all, that part of it does depend on the electorate.
Yes.
So the electorate could conceivably, just come up with a surprise.
They can. It came up with surprise again and again in so many other countries.
So
in
all
this
your
season
calculations,
of politics,
all your calculations just go down under.
Yes.
In such a case,
yes.
but it's not that kind of thing is not to be
Yeah,
expected.
but that is not a political party would take positions on the predictables.
Okay.
It doesn't really concern itself so much with the unpredictables, but it works with expectation with regard to unpredictables. And one unpredictable is the electors. But largely in our country, the unpredictable is largely predictable. You understand what I mean? It's largely predictable.
You mean our political elite, they know us so well, we know ourselves so well?
Yes, they have an idea. Yes, they have an idea because there are issues that determine essential issues that determine winnability.
Okay, one moment, please, Dr. Bayomi.
Yes.
Mr. George, good morning.
And good morning to Dr. Bayomi.
Thank you.
Uncle Yori, at this point in time, in my view, wisdom demands that the APC should not be talking about changing a presidential candidate. Instead, I would advise them to put their house in order. Areas where they have crisis, they should address them and make sure that the things that have not allowed the president to perform maximally in this term are taken care of. For example, the National Assembly. They should make sure that most of those legislators they elected are not given tickets to come back because they became a clog in the wheel of the party's progress. They should make sure they ensure somebody like Saraki does not emerge again as any president. And they should also ensure that party structure, party leadership, the president should try to take charge of the party. If he alienates himself from the party, as I see from the distance where I speak, they will continue to have party problems. And if there are crises in the party, governance will be difficult. That's what I expect them to do rather than be thinking of how to contest with Mr. President. I have not even seen anybody among them that can come and convince us that they are better than him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. George.
Obviously, he's a supporter of President Buhari.
Oh, George, Mr.
ways.
George.
Yeah.
Oh, from day one. From day one. Even from day one, because he says that he believes that man is just one of the hopes of Nigeria. And so he's putting everything on him.
Yeah, but there's something I want to say, Yori. I think there's exaggeration about relationship. A lot of exaggeration about the National Assembly's relationship to the executive arm. It's not so bad. It is not so bad. There is largely the National Assembly has not been a major problem for the government. I don't think so. Because
well, in recent times, they've begun to become a bit more placatory, shall we say. But before then, it seemed a matter of everything you try will block this, everything you try will block that. That was the perception that was coming out. But Saraki has spoken in recent times to say that, look, we're just going to do everything that we can to be in sync with the executive.
Yeah, but let us understand something.
After all, they are different.
Yes, let us understand something, and this is essential for us to understand. The National Assembly represents the people against the wild river, and sometimes against the wild river that can easily overflood its banks, and that is the executive. Therefore, it is not all times that the National Assembly will necessarily accede to the request of the executive. Even if the National Assembly is dominated by the members of the political party in power, its responsibility is to make law. We're talking of separation of powers. And it is also important to ensure that that separate powers is not commingled in one single hand. Otherwise, there will be no embankment that will control the wild river. So we tend to talk of the National Assembly, forgetting that this National Assembly basically has dual role.
Yes, and they're supposed to be our representatives.
Yes,
a lot of people
to
might
ensure
say they don't
good government.
like that. A lot of people might say that they don't feel that way about the whole arrangement.
Yes.
But you've just said classically that
Yes.
is what they're supposed to be. Chijioke in Kutonu, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Thank you, sir. And how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, sir. I want to contribute in this program that you people are doing. I love it so much.
We'd like you to. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, sir. My contribution is that they should allow President Buhari to continue. He's doing a very good job. Everyone knows that he's doing a very good job. It's only the bad ones in Nigeria that are not seeing the good things that the man is doing. So my contribution is that they should allow him to continue because he's taking Nigeria somewhere, and we all love that. We are solidly behind him.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Chijioke. Although the APC itself says that the matter is, shall we say, premature at the moment, it was brought up, some wild card, but it was promptly shut down as inappropriate because there's an agenda and this is not on the agenda. So it's almost like, I wonder why you'd say a thing like that, but it's out there and here we are talking about it. And it's interesting that people are saying that, look, whatever it means, the perception I'm getting is that let people not just think about it. Okay, go ahead and think about it, but let's, again, borrow one of your words, let's be practical about this whole matter. So to those people, including Mr. George, including Mr. Chijioke, the sensible thing to do is, shall we just let sleeping dogs lie and the way it is, and let's just continue with.
Well, that's an opinion.
That's an opinion.
That's an opinion. But if, for example, you are interested in becoming the president of Nigeria with all the plenipotential authority,
yes,
and the pleasures and the,
yes,
I think it's It was it something that I think is Plato or something in the Republic that said when they have bathed themselves with Persian oil and they have all the pleasures of office. That's a big office. So if you have interest in becoming the president, the idea that somebody should continue without challenge means absolutely nothing to you.
Even if you are a disciplined APC member?
Even if you are a disciplined APC member, because there is personal interest and personal ambition.
Okay, one moment, please. Mr. Thomas, good morning. Thank you for calling in. Hello? Is Mr. Thomas from Abesson, I believe?
I'm Mr. Thomas from Abesson.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
I'm Mr. Thomas from Abesson.
Welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Dr. Abayami and Uncle Orisa.
Yes, thank you.
You are bent to disagree from our own perspective of electorate. We discovered that the National Assembly...
Who is we?
We the electorate. That is our own perception. The National Assembly...
No, I wanted to know the we that you are representing.
So many of my class here, we have a place where we discuss.
Oh, okay. Some friends, you and some of your friends.
Yes, we consider it an abnormality. An abnormality for a majority party to have a position as a deputy senate president. The post of, yes, me and some. So we consider it as an abnormality for a deputy senate president to form an opposition party. And from that, structure, it has affected the performance of the party. I am a die-hard Buhari before.
How about now?
I'm a die-hard Buhari before.
How about now?
For now, we have shifted my ability on his performance. I know he has challenges, but the problem is that the structure of the party is affecting the performance of the party.
Okay.
What Dr. Abayami held on to, that the National Assembly is not a liability. We, majority of us, consider the roles of National Assembly as a liability to the performance of the party. Even in the handling of issues that comes up, like affecting sections of the country, is becoming a liability. We that have lost interest.
All right, then.
And we want the party to do the right thing.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas, for calling in. We'll pick up this thread when we come back from this break. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and we're continuing our conversation on whether or not there will be automatic tickets in the APC, and indeed it has been stated categorically that there will be no automatic ticket. However, we've been looking at a phenomenon you could refer to as, well, the practical politics on the one hand, and the other part is theoretical. And we now have with us Dr. Dan Ekere, lecturer, philosophy department, University of Lagos. Thank you very much for coming on, Dan. In fact, we would have started together, but for the difficulty that you experienced in getting here. You were saying that something that looks like it was major happened on Ikorodu Road.
Yeah, certainly a very fatal accident around Banikoro. Yeah, involving a lot of vehicles. Anyway, I noticed that there was this. I don't know whether it's a trailer or a container it was carrying, because I noticed that the thing fell on, some other vehicles, and in fact the scenario there is really
fell on.
It's terrible.
Those
whether that vehicle is even a container, or there are some vehicles that look like this container. Because I was actually equally concerned about how I can get off the place, but I noticed that the vehicle is of that massive size. And having collision with several other cars.
We'll get the details of it very, very shortly on the news.
And there are so many people there, really.
So many people. So there would have been a total standstill around that area.
Except the vehicle is removed, it's a no-go area.
But so how did you maneuver? You had to go through the
cell. We have to, veer off.
You have people driving against traffic. Yes,
it would have been bedlam. Everybody has to veer off to the service. If you must get out of the place, you need to find your way back and veer off to the, service lane through Palm Grove. Yeah, it's really terrible.
Well, no, I'm sure the relevant authorities are already on that. This whole trailers and containers falling off, I don't know, these things are supposed to be secured, but for some reason we don't. We don't know the details of this particular case. We'll be hearing about it shortly. But welcome, Dan. Thank you for making it. And you could have turned around, but you still had to get here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're talking about, maybe you've been hearing part of the conversation and how it's one thing to follow the theory, which you must. It's another thing that in doing so, you don't jeopardize the practical aspect of what the whole endeavor is all about. Now, so we've been taking different aspects of this particular topic, and towards the end, a gentleman called in and said, he indicated that, in fact, I should take this question to Dr. Abayomi, because him being a party member, he seemed, that last gentleman, I think it was Mr. Chijioke, he seemed to think that all's not well within the party and that this needs to be sorted out. When I say within the party, I imagine I'm just talking about the broad membership of the party, because there are all sorts of conflicting stories out there in all sorts of pepper soup joints, not in refined ivory towers somewhere. But oftentimes, there's no smoke without fire. If there wasn't some indication from some of their leaders, you wouldn't be hearing all the stories you're hearing. So, as a member of the party, you no doubt must have heard too that there seems to be disgruntled elements, and I don't mean that in a negative way.
That's not abnormal in a political party. There are so many interests.
They feel the president has been a bit aloof from party affairs and he is the leader of the party. Yes. And so he made some conciliatory statements in recent times that, look, I am aware of some of those complaints, and he seemed to indicate that, well, with a slight, upsurge in our economy, perhaps the wherewithal now existed for us to do some of those things that members were pining for.
Yes, of course. First, it's not abnormal to have the boat of a political party tilting and rocking and so on and so forth. In every clime, in every nation, it happens. If we look at America, within the Republican Party, there are even Republican senators that are attacking the president, who is actually the president of their own party. Now, in Nigeria, it's important to also appreciate some issues. The interest of the government may not be in conformity with the interest of the political party. Sometimes it happens like that. You know what I mean? And a president who is heading the executive arm wants to succeed. And to succeed, he may need to move a detour from the organic interest of a political party. For example, look at the situation that faces Buhari. He came into power with limited funds. And this money he has must achieve the ideals of government that he has already set in his political campaign. Okay? Now, you now have a political party, obviously, that wants to be appointed into committees and boards and so on and so forth. And Buhari knows that if he appoints them to boards, he has to provide vehicle, he has to provide money, he has to do this, and it will consume a whole chunk of money, a whole large, which may make it impossible for him to succeed as president. So now there is a conflict between the interests of the party and the interests of the government.
And the president is caught in the middle.
You will now have to find a balance.
Yeah. In Abuja, Prince Saye, thank you for holding on. Chief, I believe. Chief Saye, good morning.
Good morning, my dear. Good morning, Pastor Yori.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chief. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Yori. Yeah. Please, my concern is simple. Please, it's simple. The issue of automatic ticket for now, it shouldn't be now. My concern is this man, our president, has tried his best so far with his head and not head. Please, what we should focus ourselves on now is good governance. This man came, I will call this APC government, they came, I will call them child of circumstance. Circumstance, they said, when they came, the price was being sold for $130 per barrel. Immediately they came, this fell to per barrel. That's our problem. These Niger Delta people came on board with their problem. Then Saraki of a person, maneuvered that position of Senate president to the Senate president and became antagonist to the president in disguise. People should also understand. This man, Saraki, somebody spoke now that this man is not the president of a president, to be Senate president of Nigeria. He has all sort of cases around his neck. Please, in fairness to our president, let us give him a time. We still have at least 1.5 years to go. Let us give him a time. The issue of whether automatic or not automatic shouldn't be an issue. That's my concern. Good morning.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Chief Faye. Dr. Dan Ekere, well, here you're a non-party member. Why did I make that assumption? University lecturers can also be party members?
I've made that claim here several times. I don't belong to any party. I'm not a card-carrying member of any party.
So, but what do you think of the ongoing conversation? APC has said it's premature, this whole matter about whether or not there's an automatic ticket. I think for whatever reason, they said the reason they set up the meeting was to just pass a vote of confidence in President Buhari. Do you think all of these factors into indicating the way in which we expect the smoke to be blowing?
Well, thank you, Okiori. I think, yes, the party could come up to say that it is premature. But I do know that the task of campaigning around this country to be a president is not something you can do in 2 days. And if anyone has the interest of becoming the president in 2019, I don't think it is too early to start campaigning. Yeah, for the president, you might say too early because he's already there as an incumbent and the rest. But the party has not said that the president will be their candidate. And so I don't think it's too early. Because people need to sell themselves. We need to know who is going to be president, so that we can have enough time to actually do some form of checks on the character of the person and what have you, so that we don't keep having this issue of, just bringing somebody on board. The way political party system works. Once they bring a candidate, that is it. You don't have any option. It's the candidate that the parties present that you eventually have to, select from. So we need to do some checks on our candidate or those who will be contesting. Okay. So if
those that are complaining that governance is there as a big responsibility.
Yes.
And then there's also this whole politicking. And that if you start that too early, governance will suffer. So the theory
But governance is equally a function of politicking. So you can't take it out of it. And in any case, there is nothing that happens in governance that is outside politics. So the question of governance will suffer.
Even when they say this is a bipartisan issue, please let's not bring politics into it. This is all just the national
These are just mere, claims.
If you look at the politician, everything.
You can't take politics out of it. Politics itself is life, the way it works, So you can't take it out of it. Now, but the challenge really is that, we've had...
there's a caller. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and the guest in the studio over there.
Good morning, Mr. Chidi. Good morning.
Yes, my take on the program. Thank God it's Friday. It has been a delightful one, and the question of automatic ticket as far as APC presidential aspiration is concerned should not be the focus at this point in time, given the problems and challenges that is here and there in Nigeria. But Nigerians being what we are, there is no doubt that President Muhammadu Buhari will at the end of the day emerge as the presidential aspirant or candidate of the ruling All Progressive Congress. In any case, I wish Nigerians well in our endeavors. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, the point we're trying to make is that, yes, he has just actually hit the nail on here, because when you begin to hear no automatic ticket and all of that, these are just ways of trying to say, okay, let's keep this in. Meanwhile, on the ground, a lot of things are happening.
Yes, you've spoken about it.
Yes, but again, for me, if you ask me, I would say that it should be thrown open, really. I'm not very sure that it will be in the best interest of the president to actually go for a second term.
When you say it should be thrown open,
yes.
You might not have arrived when Dr. Barami was explaining that within parties, usually they have to have their own arrangements.
Yes.
Never mind the constitutional provisions, which
Certainly.
is that you're a Nigerian, you're a certain age, basic minimum educational qualification, you're in.
Yeah.
But you now have to come and face the screening of the party. And in the case of the APC, it had been decided that the president was going to come from the north. So when you say, let's throw it open.
No,
like
the openness I'm even talking about, whichever way or direction the party zones, they choose to zone it. But what I'm saying is that make it an open thing. Don't just...
Within that zone?
Yes, so that every competent person should participate.
The point is that
every constitutionally should participate.
Yes, constitutionally. There's really nothing like zoning. Constitutionally.
Yes, constitutionally.
Yes.
But the parties,
can do their own internal mechanisms.
These are our own bylaws
workings,
that you must comply with if you're a member of this party.
Yes.
Even the laws cannot be antagonistic or inconsistent with the prescription of the Constitution or the prescription of APC's constitution, because we are talking of two constitutions now. We are talking of APC constitution. We're also talking of the constitution of Nigeria.
Okay, one moment, please. I got to take another call. Good morning. Good morning, Mazi Okoroafo.
Good morning, our guests in the studio. Good morning, that's Mazi Okoroafo. Honestly speaking, Sanyori, I want to assure you just like this. All the political parties, not only APC, let us stop this issue automatically. Let everybody come out and do what? And contest. You see, that was what did PDP. But let's keep it PDP by side. What I want to know is whether governor, whether senate, anything, all this automatic, let's keep it by the side. Everybody should come and when you come to contest, you are not trying to take their popularity and their acceptance. That is what we mean about contesting. You see, we borrow something from outside Nigeria, come to Nigeria, outside from Nigeria, and come to Nigeria. When we come that, we just kill what we are putting. We not like to intimidate. The area we did comment, vote, contest, everybody actually, and we should try to people with good track record to contest. Not all these abracadabra, they come and say they impose. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant and fruitful weekend.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okoroafo. So he's going,
no, I'm saying that, yes, within the party arrangement, you can move to whatever. That is left to the party. I'm not bothered about that. But my concern is that don't say nobody should contest. People have interest. And in any case, you cannot tell me that Buhari has the best idea in Nigeria or the most competent person. You could just find somebody else who is better. So you need to throw it open. The moment you close, the opportunity, it means that you will not even have opportunity of, try to get in others. And in any case, the health challenges of Mr. President, even though, yes, somehow he
those have largely disappeared.
You could say they have largely disappeared. But
from what we can see.
But I'm not saying that. I'm still seeing some effect of it because the man is not fluid. You can see that. The rate at which he went about campaigning and the rest, he's not able to move the same way in governance.
Yeah, but
because you see that a number of times he seems to be the type who want to be, as a result of health challenges, try to be a bit reserved, operating just from the villa most of the time and all that.
You just made the assumption that it's as a result of health challenges. I thought you were going to put it down to his personal style.
No, not personal style. Even before now, he was a little bit out before the issue of the health issues, So
another caller on the line.
I don't think we need to spend some 6 months again outside.
Good morning. Good morning, Nanyi. Good morning. Thank you for calling.
I would like to say that the no automatic ticket being said by APC is one of the best statements I've ever heard from them, because they are giving us confidence in the political party that they have internal democracy being institutionalized. Because if you begin to talk about automatic ticket, you're barring some people from their own opinion. Everyone is entitled to his opinion. For the fact that you see that this person is performing well, it's not everybody within the party that is happy about what is happening. So everybody should be given equal opportunity. If the man has the true vote of confidence, as they've said it to us, let us see it at the ballot box. Not that you give someone automatic ticket. And we should be mindful of one thing, that if that is done to the president, this will run down even to the governors and councillors. Some people that have not even done anything will have automatic ticket because it it is a political party saying that. So I'm happy with them. And one thing that should be mindful of that I want to remind them is that if such statement begins to filter out to the public, it's just telling us, a way of telling us, the masses, that they are insensitive to our plight, our own feelings. So they don't care what we're saying. They can always stamp anybody and bring to us. Lastly, I would like to say that APC should wake up to the responsibility entrusted in them. We had confidence in that party that they were going to deliver and help us Nigerians. But I think what they're giving us by saying all these automatic tickets is the least we expect. They should focus and give us the true dividends of democracy. They should give us the yearning Nigerians are seeing, the better life we expect to see from our rulers. And they should also be mindful that the way we show the way out for the party before them can also be shown if they are not up to task and up to responsibility as expected of them. May God bless APC and bless Nigeria and also give us a better future. Thank you and God bless us.
That's good.
Thank you, Nai. Dr. Bayomi, do you agree with Nai that the ruling party, that's much that I could gather from what you said, appeared to have lost its way a bit? But now, do you think it's on the way to, especially in the last few
No, you are
weeks?
talking of the ruling party because the government is different from the party.
Yes.
It is, of course, true that the party produces the government.
And the
But
party also has the programs
Yes, yes.
that Mr. President will be championing.
Yes, but that program is for the people of Nigeria.
Not for APC.
And also in the interest of the people of Nigeria.
Yes, but in that context, did it lose its way a bit? Because Nai and some other people have said that I've been disappointed in the performance of this particular government, which is a product of the ruling party.
Well, you know, the hope of the people is to achieve their expectation at the shortest possible time. Mm-hmm. Largely, people barely think of the hoes and the cutlasses and the diggers to make the farm. They are largely interested in the tuber of yam and the size of that tuber. But the farmer who goes to the farm, who goes through the tension and the charge and the challenges of farming, he understands that it takes some effort to cut down the trees, to weed, to prepare, to till the land, to make the heap, plant, and to wait, even wait for the time of harvest.
Yes, yes.
You know, that harvest is largely what the people want. Mm-hmm. Now, government, and it is important for our people, because if we don't understand it, we also deny us with the necessity to appreciate the requirement of patience. You know, government is a very serious affair, particularly in our nation, where government continually goes through what I would call a period of testing. You know, since we came into independence, we have largely been going through a period of testing. There's scarcely stability. I was saying it just at NIJ just 2 days ago, that for the first time since 1960, this is the first time any government will confront head-on Nigeria's greatest neurosis, and that is what has denied us growth and development, corruption. This is the first time any government. You are talking of confronting what has become endemic, like I have said in this your station. Corruption in Nigeria is like a wasting disease at the early stage. It is difficult to detect, but easy to cure. But we have gotten to a late stage. It has metastasized, stage 4. It is now easy to detect, but difficult to cure. The government, first and foremost, must deal with that before we can do anything. Because if we don't challenge corruption, all our effort will just be in vain. And that is what is happening.
Dr. Kere, I wonder if the president, including the government, maybe even the ruling party itself, did they underestimate the
the challenge of government.
Yeah, well, especially the major issue of fighting corruption. Did they perhaps underestimate the capacity to fight back or blow back or talk back and generally make life difficult?
Well, I really find it difficult to place, but I do know that the president was once a head of state, and he has shown signs of this kind, that he wants to deal with issues of corruption. And I want to believe that even as a military head of state, he saw the difficulty, in battling corruption. And then that was an era where all you need to do is give orders and things will be carried out.
Yes,
so
but you can't do that
if
in
he had
democracy.
that kind of situation, I expect that he should have at the back of his mind that coming as a now is a civilian president, there will be challenges. He should anticipate that. But chances are that he didn't really, perhaps, and maybe the entire party even, did not actually, place this particular issue as serious. They didn't see it from that perspective that it could be more, than what they were thinking.
Serious.
Yeah, it's more serious than what they were thinking. And now they have seen it, they have entered.
Yes.
It is now they actually see the clear picture that this thing is really massive. It's
so
not something you can
it's
just
like almost like work is beginning from now.
Honestly.
Yeah, we've completely run out of time, so thank you very much, gentlemen. Dr. Tunji Abayomi, constitutional lawyer and professional in politics, and Dr. Dan Ekere, University of Lagos lecturer. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
It's a pleasure.
Perspectives.
And good morning. Have a weekend.
Indeed.
Have a good weekend.
A good weekend.
Nigeria and the
Indeed.
world.
Indeed. So that's our program. Join us on Monday for a fresh edition. In the meantime, as Dr. Abayomi said, do have a great weekend. Bye-bye for now.